Shut up and sit down.
Good day, everyone. This is Scott Lurie with The Hard Truths, and we're in studio today with Tony Romero and Jerry Norton on the morning of day 2 of the Hustle Harder Club. Tony, what a hell of a night that was last night.
Yeah, that was intense. 25 states in Milwaukee.
That was amazing. We broke it down last night for an unbelievable opening night. I was proud of all of the speakers and the attendees, and over 300 people were in Milwaukee for what was the first of the Hustle Harder Club. And wow, it was amazing. It was amazing. What was more amazing is that the amount of snow came down for all the Arizona folks right in time as the event was wrapping up. So that was great.
It was great energy, though.
Yeah.
Amazing energy.
The energy was high, man. It was amazing. Jerry Norton, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All the way from, I just learned, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Milwaukee. Have you been here before?
No, I have not.
Well, we're gonna roll out the red carpet for you, and we're certainly grateful you decided to join us. I'm excited to hear your presentation today. I know that the crowd is going to be electrified, and so thanks for taking that time to be here with us. And traveling around the world is amazing. Traveling to the cold in the middle of winter is not always that amazing. So I appreciate you pulling out the one sweatshirt you referenced and getting here. So thanks for being here. Jerry, part of what we like to discuss, and kind of part of what you're about is this amazing part of real estate. Can you just give everyone, the viewers, the listeners, a little bit about your background?
Sure.
How'd you get started? We're talking Michigan, we're talking flipping houses, we're talking burnt out houses we're flipping contracts on for $1,500. Give me the elevator pitch. I just want to hear, where'd you get started from?
Yeah, so like a lot of people, I was going nowhere in life, dead-end job, was working construction, minimum wage, had a small family, just wasn't really stepping up to the plate, I felt like, as a provider. Wanted more for my family, had a couple small kids, 27 years old, and discovered this idea around wholesaling, had no idea what that was, and said, you know what, I think I'm going to try to make this happen. So it was a before work, on my lunch break, after work, weekends type thing, and it took me about a year. My goal was, if I can find a couple deals and wholesale a couple houses and save up equal to my income of my job for a year, then I'll quit, because now I've got some comfort, right? I'll quit. And
I got my financial freedom coming towards me.
It was only like $25,000 at the time. It was hardly any money, but it freaked me out. So I was kind of like doing these little deals a little bit here and there, and did that for about a year. And then I said, okay, I'm ready. And then I jump in, and in my first month, full-time, did 5 wholesale deals, made $52,000, which was like,
wow,
yeah, all the money I'd seen in the world,
That so 25,000 looked a little smaller than the 52.
So it took me a year to get like 25 part-timing it, and then month 1, 52.
And what market were you doing that in? Was that
Metro Detroit?
So Detroit metro market. You were you wholesaled the first month 5 houses. So what do you remember that feeling after that first month? That first month, you're like, I got $52,000. I've been working my tail off for the 25, and now here we go. What are you feeling?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, I never really had a plan B. So I said, I'm going to do this. And it was more like, how long is it going to take me? How quickly can I do it? Not, can I do it? Or if I don't make it work, I'll go do something else. And
so I'm sorry.
That's important.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that to me is I would like to talk about that for just 2 minutes, because we engage with a lot of real estate investors who have plan B, plan C, plan D, plan everything. Yeah. And Jerry said, I don't have a plan B. I'm going to be successful. Mm-hmm. That's a mindset.
Yeah, I deal with a lot of people. I work with a lot of people in the education space, and the biggest thing that they lack is not information or funding or deals or partners. It's usually commitment is what they're lacking. They just haven't really said, I'm going to do whatever it takes and I'm going to just make this work.
Yeah. So so you're 100% right. We talk to and you educate, and your educations, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, is remarkable. But how do you teach that to somebody, right? Is it that moment where you say to a real estate investor, because I was that guy. In 2003, I was at an endless job, which was with my parents. I woke up miserable every day. I hated going to dinner with my mom and dad every night because that's all we discussed was my miserable job that they were working in. And I said to myself, I'm leaving on August of 2020 of 2003, and I will be successful. See you later.
Yeah.
I knew that was in my body.
You didn't know yet how, but you knew that was going to happen.
I knew it was going to be in real estate, and I didn't know how.
Yeah.
But how do you get that to your students? Because I'm all about empowering the people, right? I want people to know that financial independence and you create your own destiny, right? You can go work at Johnson Controls or work for any of the large companies out there. You get a very nice job. You get a nice retirement. You get a nice benefits, but you don't control your life. Yeah. They do.
Yeah, I think your big why has a big part to do with it, but I honestly feel like drive is not something you can teach somebody. You can't teach drive. I can teach you how to wholesale or flip. You know, I can teach you things, but if you can't bring the drive to the table, then it's going to be very limiting what you end up doing.
Yeah, we said that a lot yesterday. A lot of the speakers were discussing basically, I can teach you all the real estate. I can't teach you how to hustle, you know. And,
that's right.
If you don't know how to hustle, I can't help you.
And I know everybody's on a different path. Everybody kind of has a different journey, but I think you've got to be able to dig down really deep, and you've got to have a super compelling reason why you want this. And when that surfaces and you can identify that and bring it to the front, then you're willing to plow through obstacles, climb over walls. You don't let the setbacks stop you. You just, because now you're that big why you have is so compelling that it gets you up in the morning. You know, like nothing, I don't ever need motivated. I'm never like lacking motivation.
No, you're never like, hey, I don't feel like doing a deal today, or I don't feel like finding an opportunity.
No one says, Jerry, get out of bed and go work. You know, like no one does that, and I don't ever need that because the drive is just there. And that's compelling. That fire is lit every day, all day. I was thinking about this last night because I just meet Tony, and he's 22 years old and $500,000 in assignment fees his first year. And what makes that? I didn't have my head on like that at 22. Right. And where does that come from? And I think it's a special rare thing to see someone that really just comes out of the gate with this drive and this fire. It's a rare thing. I had someone ask me one time if I thought there was an entrepreneur gene. And I wonder if that's a thing. I wonder if there's certain people I meet and I'm like, yeah, you got it.
Right. You can tell from the handshake. You can tell from the pep.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, the gene. So I'm just going back to last night. Last night's still running through my head pretty vividly.
Yeah.
Because there was moments of like people were changed in a really positive way. Not changed in the spiritual fashion, but like people gained a very important piece of confidence last night that they didn't have when they walked in the door that will give them that moment. I wish part of, and we'll talk once again a little bit further about your education, but I wish part of the schools were teaching how to be successful or how to do something, whatever that is, because last night there was a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, Carlos was speaking to them, and these kids were like blown away at the world. I'm like, yes, we need every 19-year-old to come down here. We need every 17-year-old to be in this audience because you're going to be able to figure out how to make that critical move in your life.
The problem, I think, Scott, is everybody wants to focus on technique and strategy, and that's maybe like 10% of the equation. You got to have that. You got to have the technique. You got to have the strategy. You got to have the business model. But it's the 90% of success is the real estate between your ears. It's your mindset, your self-limiting beliefs, and that's what holds people back. And unfortunately, everybody wants to focus on that 10%. If only I had the right skill, if only I had the right technique, the right partner, the right funding, the right whatever, the right market, then I'll be successful. When really it's the part no one wants to really focus on, and that's that 90% mindset.
Yeah. So can we talk about that for a minute? So I think you're 100% right, and I think that's a very intriguing conversation for our listeners to say, where is that 90%, right? Because the technique, it's teachable technique at the end of the
Especially
day.
wholesaling, like it's
Right.
a couple of steps. You do it again and again and again.
Right.
You know?
And you get better, by the way, because you're practicing.
There's
But
nothing complicated here, really.
for sure. So when you're talking to people, or when you're educating, or when you're finding the right, how are you tweaking the 90% piece that might be off?
Yeah, the biggest thing I see, especially in the coaching area with people, is, they're just not willing to put themselves in a really uncomfortable place. So we're so entitled in America, I think. I think we grow up so comfortable, so entitled. We don't really understand struggle. No one really can relate to Carlos Rey's story.
Right.
Very few people can actually relate to that story, right?
Sure.
Growing up in dirt floors in Mexico.
Right.
Like, who can relate to that?
Not me, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, right. Me too. So people are so entitled that when it comes to this hustle, when it comes to like, am I willing to really take risk and be vulnerable? Am I willing to put in work, not knowing what the outcome might be? Am I willing to do that to reach this other level of success in my life? And a lot of people don't want to give up that comfort they have. They don't want to sacrifice. I'll give you an example. I had a coaching student come and he said, I've got a good 6-figure job, but I don't like it. I don't like my boss. I don't like, they own me. They tell me when and where I got to be every day. I got to go through traffic. I don't like it. So I want to do real estate and I want you to help me get over here. But I just got to tell you, I don't want to cut back on my lifestyle. I have this lifestyle here I've created.
So I want to make no sacrifices
Right.
to get to where I want to
Basically,
go.
I want this, but I don't want to make any sacrifice to get it. And
Right.
I said, man, I don't know if I'm the one to help you because you're going to have to make some massive sacrifices.
And these
if
are
you
short,
want to transition.
But Jerry, let's be clear. These are not 7-year-long
No.
sacrifices.
No.
These are 6 months. These are, you're going to have to do
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, but you can still be functioning. You just have to make some changes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's fast. So tell us what happened. Did the guy come on board?
I spent 2 days with them. I don't know.
Okay. So the jury's out on him still today, and
Yeah.
you're still in
Yeah.
communication with him. So when we first got here, you were telling me a little bit about your background on some of the stuff, the hustle, the energy. You were flipping burnt out houses for $1,500 profits. But I think it resonates a lot with the listeners and with the people that want to better themselves.
Yeah.
Is that you don't start wholesaling your first house for $100,000, right?
Yeah.
That
that's
doesn't
right.
happen. I mean,
it's a transition.
It can happen, but right. So let's talk about that transition for a minute, if you don't mind. So can you walk us through your first, not segment of wholesaling, but that process where you went from here, where you were doing the $1,500 transactions and you were building a nice pipeline of business and it was a nice steady income, to today a little bit? You said you're still flipping some houses in the Detroit metro area.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little insight into that.
So I think for people that are getting in the business, as you start to get some consistency, right? You get that 1 to 3 deal flow going. I'm talking wholesaling. Maybe you get to the 5 deals a month. As soon as you're getting to about 5 deals a month, you have to really make a conscious decision on what route you're going to take your business. And there's really 1 of 2 ways you can go. You can go volume, or you can go margin. And what I mean by that,
let's break that down for him. Because imagine that we're talking right now to someone that doesn't understand wholesaling.
Yes.
But they understand the concept of wholesaling. So now we're going to talk volume and margin, which are 2 amazing concepts.
Yes.
Let's break each one of them down for him.
So volume, when you hit about 3 to 5 deals, you can kind of do 3 to 5 deals with almost no team, like by yourself.
Okay.
Right. You can, if you hustle and you work hard, but as soon as you want to transition into more income, if you go volume, you got to start building a team. You got to focus on your processes, your systems, and your people. You cannot grow into volume unless you start building a team.
Yeah, and Tiffany last night kind of went through this whole iteration of her team and how she redid it multiple times. But
so you got to get good at leadership. You got to bring on the right people. You got to start thinking about tools and software and resources. You got to bring on overhead, right? Because now you got to
overhead means you're spending money the grind every day.
Yeah. And so for some people that resonates really well. Like the idea of, I think, Scott, you might fall in this category. I mean, I'm looking here at your buildings and Tony was telling me about your hundreds of employees
Yeah.
and you're feeding a lot of mouths. And I think you wake up and that gives you a lot of energy.
That keeps my fire lit.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. You're feeding families
Yep.
and that means something when you're feeding families.
It's not about me anymore.
Yeah.
That's
It's not
right.
about you anymore.
That's 100% right.
And so some people really resonate with that, like making a difference. I mean, you are economically having an impact on a lot of lives. And it's not just your employees, it's everybody else involved in an indirect way.
Absolutely.
The people you're lending money to and their families and their lives. I mean, if you really put it to it, I bet you, Scott, you're impacting thousands of lives.
I hope so, in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, you wake up and you try to make a good impact on society every day. And so, yeah, you're Jerry, you nailed it in the level of overhead. I wake up, I got to pay rent, I got to pay for all this information. I mean, all the furniture and all of the utilities, you name it. So, yeah, I understand that very well.
That's pressure. That's some serious pressure.
It is every day.
You got bills
Yeah.
and mouths to feed. So the volume route can get you to the same type of thing, which is, you know, I really want to explode my level. I want to gain financial freedom. I want to have control over my time. A business that's done right can provide that, right?
Absolutely.
But you've got to build a team. So that's volume. Volume can get you into doing the 10, 20, 30, 40 deals a month. You know, the HBHS guys, you know, doing tons of deals.
Heavy volume deals.
Yeah. Now, I'm not convinced that necessarily gives you the biggest net profit necessarily. You got to do things right.
For
as
sure.
you know.
For sure.
Yeah, overhead can eat into profits very quickly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then there's that route, and then there's the margin route, which is I'm going to do a whole lot less deals, but I'm going to focus on bigger net profit per deals.
So when you're talking margin, you're talking about, and let's be specific, on the volume side of it, you're assuming, for the sake of assumption, that you're doing more transactions, and as a result of the massive amount of transactions, you naturally have to make less per transaction.
Yes, because your overhead's
But
there.
you also have a deal that you would do for a $5,000 wholesale fee or for a $3,000 wholesale fee that you normally wouldn't do if you didn't have the lights to pay and the overhead to pump.
Oh, yeah.
So when you think about the volume side, now we're talking margin, and what Jerry's talking about specifically is instead of getting $3,000 a wholesale fee or $30,000 a wholesale fee, Jerry's starting to talk about significant assignment wholesale fees.
Well, let's take it to a whole new level.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'll give you a deal I'm in right now. So
I love a real deal, by the way.
Yeah, the way you transition from margin from wholesaling is definitely to get into fix and flip.
Okay.
And then you can get into luxury fix and flip. So, for example, I've got a deal right now in Tucson, Arizona. Bought it for $600,000, bank property. Did $1 million rehab.
So you put more than you paid for the house
My
into the
rehab's
rehab.
$1 million. So
Okay.
it's 6,000 square foot. We basically created a brand new canvas.
Wow.
All under roof was good, so we completely redesigned the house. Everything. It's new construction, basically.
Okay.
Right? So I spent $1 million on this house, all in for 1.6. Listed it 2 days ago in 24 hours. Listed it for 3.3. $3,300,000.
So all in for 1.6. Put on the market 3.3.
3.3. Got a 2.9 offer in the first 24 hours.
Wow.
And we're countering at 3.2. Probably settle today or tomorrow at 3.1.
So
Okay.
3.1. So do the math for me,
Yeah.
because I might not be able to do the math.
After
but
after commissions, after closing, after financing,
Yep.
it's a 1.1, maybe 1.2 profit.
So
net profit.
Right. So here's the energy, right? Here's the. I hope the light bulb just went off, right? So Jerry could or a wholesaling outfit could go wholesale and make $50,000 a month in net numbers, or $300,000 a month, and Jerry did a flip and he made $1.1 million in how many months?
This was a long deal.
Yeah,
we were in
okay.
this deal. Yeah, we were in this deal almost 2 years.
So your
This
energy
deal.
though, but your energy's still spending elsewhere. So Jerry made $1 million on a flip where he doubled down, where he could have probably wholesaled it for $50,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily. Yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe even more. And instead he said, I'm going to take the long profit. And so when we're talking about margin, if you could help break it down one step further for the folks, is there's ways in wholesaling to make larger margin and do less transactions. And then you naturally just moved into, well, but I also can make larger margin by doing the actual remodel, right? So you went from here to here. So can we just talk about how can you increase margin in the wholesaling world as just a conversation?
So here's the formula that I try to share with people, and there's a million ways to get there, But the way to get to $1 million a year, if someone's listening right now and they're like, I'd love to make $1 million a year. Here's the best,
But just
to me, the
break it
fastest
down.
way.
$1 million a year in net income to you. So
net profit.
we're talking about net profit to you, the investor.
Yes.
Jerry's specifically discussing $1 million.
Small team, low overhead, high margin.
Great.
Here's how you do it.
Okay.
You have to do a combination of some fix and flip, not a lot, but some, and some wholesaling. So here's the way I look at it. In wholesaling, you're going to do lead gen, right? You're going to be marketing for leads. You're going to get some leads. Some of those are home runs.
Okay.
And what most wholesalers do is they pass that home run deal off to somebody else. They make the lion's share of the profit, and you made your 10 or 20 grand wholesaling.
Right.
What I say is, you keep that home run. You need one a month, a fix and flip. That makes, let's say, $62,000.
Wow.
And you do one a month. That's $750. Not 10 a month. Not I got this massive operation fixing and flipping. No, one a month. So but it's a home run.
One home run. So we're describing the home run as a $60,000 profit.
Yes, let's identify it as a $60,000 profit.
Okay, so we're getting to $720,000 of net numbers. If you do one a month,
that's a home
for
run.
12 months as a home run, as Jerry's described.
Not a 20,000 fix and flip or a 40,000, a 60, 80, somewhere in there. You got to get up. They got to be the home run deal. Well, naturally, what's going to happen while you're trying to get that home run deal is you're going to get a bunch of singles, doubles, and triples. Wholesale those. So then, because they're naturally coming in because you're marketing for that good deal. Keep the home run deal. Don't wholesale that one. Fix and flip that one. Make the 60. Then do 2 more a month on the ones that you don't want, that aren't home runs, the singles, doubles, triples. Wholesale those for $10,000 or whatever. And now you've done, and do 2 or 3 of those a month.
Now you're at
$1 million.
$1 million.
And you've got a small team. You're doing 3, 4, maybe 5 deals a month. Low overhead, low team. Not a big team to do that.
Yeah, and when you talk about that, because you see the industry, right? This phone that gets you onto the Instagram that shows all of the who knows, right? Who knows the credibility behind a lot of what goes on in the world out there? My guess is it's probably low. But I hope everyone just and I'd like to just go back to it for one more second, because I think, Jerry, you as a wholesaler by nature, right, by experience, as also a fix and flipper by experience and by nature, identifying that home run every month and not passing it down the street for a double assignment fee that you normally would get is the aha moment, right? Yeah. We want people to say, when you have invested in your infrastructure and your lead generation, and your lead generation produces the home run, don't hit a single with it.
That's right. Don't hit a single with your home run
right,
deal.
There you go. Yeah. Take the home run and hit the damn thing out of the park and send the singles and doubles down the street.
Yeah, because here's the thing. In our industry today, there are so many fix and flippers and buy and hold investors. They want deals so badly. Their formulas are ridiculous, which is what makes wholesaling so amazing today is you can wholesale these amazing assignment fees. And you're like, why is that guy buying that thing for 90 cents on the dollar? I have no clue, but I'll take my 20 grand, right?
Sure.
So there are flippers that are happy to make the 20 grand. They're happy to make the 20 grand on a single. Pass that single off to him. But when that baby comes in and those numbers are netting out where you could keep it and you could get 100% funding doing hard money and private money, and you could make the 60, 70, 80 on that deal, I think you keep that deal.
Well, it's almost a no-brainer. The problem is, and probably people get stuck in their ruts, right? They get in their environment where they're like, I'm a wholesaler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, you just wholesaled the profits. And the guy down the street, I mean, we were talking to these guys yesterday, and they're wholesaling. They're making huge margin on wholesale, right? They're looking to buy extremely deep and do very few deals, right? Meaning they don't need to do 100 deals. They want to buy deep on 5 deals and make 100 grand in each wholesale fee. Yeah. But I always say to them, and I was talking with them, and I'm like, hey, but then the guy buying it, paying you that wholesale fee, is going to make what?
Yeah.
But can we break it down a little bit? Because being a wholesaler, right? What I like about it is being so young and knowing, a lot of people, young people are at our event. It's because they see me rising and they feel inspired. But for those guys that are young, that are 16, 18, 20, 30, whatever it may be, you do hard money. You're obviously specialized in wholesaling and flipping. Somebody that's wholesaling a deal and that only has those single digits, let's just say it was to turn into a flip. What do those numbers look like as far as hard money? Because I feel like where people get stuck is, okay, one, I don't think people are fully educated on hard money to begin with. But 2, I feel like people think that hard money is going to eat up all of their profit. So where does it make sense if they're making, let's just say they're doing a flip, at 100,000, they're using hard money. They're supposed to make 60 grand on the deal.
So if I can answer that, Tony, I'm very strict about my fix and flip formula. It's got to be the 70% less repairs is your buy number.
So 70% of the ARV
after repair value.
So 70% of the after repaired value is Jerry's formula to be successful in what we're doing.
Yep. And so if you want to hit a 60 or higher profit following that formula, then your ARV has to get into the 400, 500, 600 price point.
Sure.
Because then it's all percentages now, right? So what's the math? The 30% that you're pulling off the top does three things. It does your carrying cost, which is your hard money, private money. I fund my deals mostly 100%. I do 80% hard money, 20% private money. I'm 100% in.
Yep.
That accounts for about 6% of ARV. Okay, closing cost and commissions and all of that, because you're buying and selling now as a flipper, so you got fees, right? That comes to about 8-9%. And then that gives you 15% for your profit. So if you're truly following the 70% formula and you're doing a 500 ARV deal, that's a 70
right there.
Whatever. That's a
$75,000 profit
deal. But you've got to understand ARV. You got to understand your renovations. You got to buy at 70% less repairs to hit those numbers. So
but you have that luxury as the wholesaler with the lead generation.
Yes.
You create that luxury for yourself. You say, hey, this one fits into this category. I'm doing it. This one doesn't. Scott, I'm sending it.
The problem, Scott, is for some reason people come into this industry and they label themselves as a flipper or as a wholesaler.
Right.
And I'm either a wholesaler and that's all I do, or I'm just a flipper and I don't even do lead gen and I buy from wholesalers. And I think we're really missing the boat, because when you combine those two the way I described it, then you get really good at lead gen, and then you're super picky about which ones you keep, and you can I think create $1 million business very easily.
And the result, Jerry, is you have $1 million. I mean, that's the true end result. The end result is you can generate wholesale fees in the business. That no one's saying not to do that. I think what the takeaway and the big moment from Jerry is when you get the lead gen and your system is running as a wholesaler, and every month you get to that home run, don't pass it down the street.
Yeah.
Because that, folks, is where you're giving up the $60,000 to $80,000 that Jerry's talking about a deal, which is going to get you to the $1 million, because you're going to get there.
Yeah. The two things that hold wholesalers back and intimidate them is financing.
Yep.
Because if you're flipping now, you're owning.
Yep.
You're financing. You got to get that money to buy it. You got to have that money to renovate it. And then the other thing is renovating. So it's very intimidating for wholesalers to think about managing contractors and managing a rehab.
Yeah.
So then they let the money and they let the renovation side of it prevent them from doing those home run deals. It's just another skill set. Just like you learned how to talk to motivated sellers. You know, you can learn that. It's not that hard to learn.
Learn how to talk to the contractor.
Learn how to raise money.
Exactly.
To me, the number one skill set you could learn in this business, if you want to go into the million plus profit range, is to raise capital. You have to be able to raise capital.
And we talked about that. My presentation yesterday at the group was about raising capital, because when I got in the business, all I knew was I had to raise capital. I knew the other skill sets, right? Whether it's flipping or wholesaling or doing anything else, I had to have the money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And so as at that time, because I thought wholesaling was stressful, I thought the assignment was stressful when I had to walk someone back through a property. Oh, hey, this is the insurance guy, or hey, this is, because you didn't know what was going on. You were walking on water almost. It just didn't fall off the world. Yeah. That was stressful to me. So I always bought the property and closed on it.
Yeah.
And then I wholesaled it, essentially. I'd wholesale it the next day. I already have it set up, but I wanted to be the title holder.
People don't realize right now in this business that the assignment technique is the lowest paying technique you can do.
Yeah. People get lost with the fee. Yeah. Right? I just made 10 grand. I just got a wholesale fee of $50,000. I got $110,000. These guys we spoke to yesterday, they're killing it, right? Yeah. $500,000 in fees, $300,000. There's a 19-year-old in the audience that did $134,000. That's real money. Yeah. But if those guys stopped for a minute and said, hey, listen, I'm going to take the one home run that I just passed down to investor B, and I took that home run and I kept it, those guys would be tripling their income.
Easy. And we're not talking either super heavy renovations. Some of these, you can buy it, take it down, relist it, Now you've got maximum exposure because you're on the MLS. You got 10,000 eyeballs seeing your deal.
Yeah, in today's market, people are
outlier. Every deal has an outlier that's going to pay way more than everybody else. Now you made 80 grand where you would have made 10 or 15 on an assignment.
Yeah, and so man, Jerry, that is awesome. I hope we're going to hear more about that today at the Hustle Harder event.
I will on the keynote. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm super transparent about what I do, how much I make. 2021, we're at the beginning of 2022. 2021, my taxable income, okay? So just put this in perspective for everybody listening. Not gross, net, after as many write-offs as I possibly can, all my expenses, right? My net taxable income is $7 million for 2021. Wow. Now, I'm keeping all of that because I moved to Puerto Rico and I take the tax advantage. But I run a very small team. I don't have company offices. I don't have really employees. Most everybody's 1099, a small handful of people. And now that's not all in deals. Some of that's my other businesses. But the point is I run a very low overhead, high margin business.
Yeah, and so you figured out, Jerry, you said, my time is valuable. I don't want the singles anymore, so to speak. You're going to get them, but you want the home runs. You'd rather get them to the fence and swing to out of the park every time than play. And that's how come your income has grown to $7 million.
Here's the mistake that flippers make. They don't want to learn lead gen. So then what they do is Tony brings them a deal, right? And they say, oh, you know what? That deal's not quite my formula. No thanks. Right? Now, what if that flipper also knew how to do lead gen? And then rather than that throwaway deal that doesn't meet his margin, he just wholesaled it for 20 grand.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, and that's where, right, you have to have, to be the $7 million earner, to be the multi-million-dollar earner, you have to have multiple opportunities, right? You can't just be a one-trick pony. One-trick ponies don't solve the problem. You have to be very vast in what you do. And I'm assuming, which I'd like to touch on if you're okay with it, Jerry, I'd like to tell everyone a little bit about your educational program that you offer. You know, you help a lot of people.
A lot.
You give a lot of people something that they don't have when they first meet Jerry.
Yeah.
Which is financial independence, right? They have that moment where the guy says, I hate my boss. You give them that. Can you just as an elevator pitch, or maybe as a 2-minute, you know, for someone listening right now, how do they get to Jerry? And Jerry, how do you help these people?
Yeah, so my big thing that I do is the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So I put a lot of energy and effort into my YouTube channel, Flipping Mastery TV. And
say it one more time.
It's Flipping Mastery TV.
Flipping Mastery
is the YouTube
TV.
channel.
Okay, so we can go to youtube.com and look up Flipping Mastery and we'll find you.
Yeah, I have now over 800 long form videos.
Wow.
So I put my heart and soul into the content. I try to make it as relevant and as detailed and as good as I possibly can. Most of that, probably about 80% of that's wholesaling, maybe 20% of that's fix and flip. That tends to be the industry. So we kind of mix it between those two. I'm really big in giving lots of free resources. We have over 40 free resources, from checklists, contracts, scripts, all of that. I want to really empower people to go out and get their start in this business. Now, if people want to go to a whole nother level, we do some coaching. My big thing, my baby, is my software. I have a software called Flipster.
Yeah, I saw that. So that's an app. That's a app.
Yeah, break that down, because I think Scott would love to hear this one.
Okay, so it's called Flipster. It competes with like the prop streams and the batches in the form of data. And this past year, we've invested heavily in data. So we're almost at a point now where we're going to have 150 million records similar to PropStream and the others. My goal is to have the same or better data than the biggest providers out there. So we're investing a ton in data. But we wanted to make it...
Is it a subscription based? So
yeah, subscription based. Yeah, you
Great.
Pay $97, get 10,000 leads a month, all of similar, right? But I wanted to take it to a whole nother level for flippers and wholesalers. So it's also a CRM, and the goal is to have everything you need to run your business under one roof. So we've got all of the marketing tools like SMS and RVM, and we have a CRM. We have a workflow where you move your deal from step 1 to step 2. We have digital contracts. We have deal analyzers. For flippers, we have budget trackers, and
that's all in that $97 a month.
Right? Yeah. So it's really cool. We launched it in 2014, and I've been building on it. Every 6 months, we do a new version, constantly improving it. We're about to launch version 8 here next month with some new features and some new tools. So I have not opened it up to an affiliate program. So it's just all mine, and it's all whatever I market and whatever I bring in. Now it does very, very well. It's because we have, pretty high subscription base considering, but we're getting ready to launch later this year an affiliate program. And I think that's going to put us on the map because now big influencers that want to promote that can now get a piece of it.
Can promote and get some residual recurring revenue.
Yeah. That's how you get the heavy hitters to get behind it, and you can really take it to a new level. I just didn't want to release it to an affiliate model until I had it at this place I envisioned it being. And we're almost there. So,
well, at least you have a grounded discipline to help these people, because some people would just gone to market already and tried to rush the affiliate program, and you're spending your time.
I did not want to go to market that way until it was the best. And I felt like it was the best.
Do you use your own system?
Yeah. So I use my own system. We have an amazing subscription base that uses it and has success with it. We have funding, which is part of it on one of the levels, which I'd love to talk to you about.
Yeah, for sure.
So we offer our students funding for deals that want to get into fix and flip. So it's not just wholesaling, it's also fix and flip, but it's really an all-inclusive platform for all of it. So it's not just data. I want to really make sure it's not just a data provider, because you can get data everywhere. It's
an all-inclusive everything. So if I'm a newbie or if I'm interested in real estate, for $97, I can go and start exploring this program and really digging my teeth in. 10,000 records of leads a month I get, like PropStream and et cetera.
We have seller sites. We have cash buyer sites. We have private lender sites. So we have ways to build your business through the platform.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So check it out, everyone.
GetFlipster.com. You can check it out.
GetFlipster.com.
Yeah, that's the way to check that out.
That's great. Jerry, thanks for that. We're running short on time here. I'd like to just touch on two other things that we talked about, if that's okay with you. The wholesale industry has come under maybe a little bit of fire over the past, call it many years, countless years, but I think it's heating up right now. And you are actively involved in trying to create some legislation or combating legislation that's going to materially impact the industry. Can you first tell us why you're passionate about that, right? And then let me first tell us the problem.
Yeah.
Then tell us why you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And then tell us where we're going, because I think everyone would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm very concerned about the future of wholesaling, in that we're getting a lot of scrutiny and a lot of negative attention in the industry right now. And this has been going on for some time, but especially over the last couple of years. And we're seeing now, because of that, we're seeing legislation being passed in states and cities that are regulating wholesaling. And it's not, when I say wholesaling, it's specifically the assignment technique. And so that technique of, you get the contract, you sign it to your cash buyer, has really come under a lot of fire with not just the real estate commissions, but the consumer protection agencies. And there's an idea out there that wholesalers are predatory, they're stealing equity, they're doing harm to sellers. And sure, some of that is happening, just like every industry has bad apples. But the problem is that's getting the limelight. It's getting showcased as this is all wholesalers fall under this bracket, which you and I and everybody listening to this knows that's not true. We actually tremendously benefit and help the market and sellers.
Yeah.
And so I don't like this negative image that we're being portrayed as. The challenge is we're a completely unregulated industry, meaning everyone just runs around and does their own thing. Everybody does a little bit differently. Everybody's using different. There's no uniformity going on in the industry.
There's no set contract. There's no disclosure. There's no nothing. Everyone does their own thing.
We're lacking some things as an industry, like best practices and a code of ethics. And people don't have to participate in any of that. But I feel like we're now a multi-billion-dollar industry, wholesaling. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I think if we want to preserve and protect that industry in the future, maybe it's not right here at our door right now. I feel like it is, but in the next 5 years or so, where is our industry going to be if we don't start doing some things today to improve on this?
Yeah, and I think part of that, Jerry, is I think there's a low barrier to entry as a wholesaler, right? So we understand that, and the problem is there's a few bad apples that are spoiling for everyone, and I'm maybe paraphrasing, but the goal is to create that code of ethics so that those bad apples understand that their way of doing business is unacceptable to us, the industry.
Yeah, what I think would be helpful is if we can organize and create a trade organization. Every big industry has one, We've started a wholesaler association. It's in its infancy. We're not even collecting dues, or we're still building, the bylaws and the board of directors. But the idea would be, let's create some best practices. Let's have a code of ethics. Maybe we put through some certification where someone can go through and say, okay, well, here's the proper way to put a contract together with a seller where I'm not harming the seller, where I'm doing proper disclosure. Like, let's do things that are going to show the regulators and the consumer protection agencies that we're trying to operate, we're trying to self-regulate, we're trying to be a legit industry and not just a bunch of cowboys running around doing who knows what, which is what they're very concerned about. They're very concerned about.
There's some concern there. I mean, the consumer can be harmed materially due to some bad practices.
Sure.
So
there's wholesalers locking up 40 contracts and close on one. Meanwhile, the seller's in the driveway with his U-Haul.
Right.
Like, that's not cool.
Right. With no intention of selling it. And they're like, hey, we're no closing today.
Yeah.
And
there's a handful of things that we could do right now that would drastically improve the way we operate as an industry. We can improve the way we interact with sellers. Right now the real estate commissions and the protection agencies, one of their biggest complaints is disclosure, especially real estate commission. Licensing law has a real issue with improper disclosure. So when a wholesaler says, I'm a cash buyer, I'll buy your house for cash, when in reality they're not, and they have no intention, they're going to sign it to another cash buyer, that's being looked at as illegal and fraudulent. It's lying. And it's not hard to get around that. Just say to this, what I say right in my contract, and I verbally talk about it with the sellers, I say, listen, I may assign this contract to one of my other entities, to one of my partners or investors, or one of their entities. And my intent here is to make a profit. You understand that, seller? I'm buying your property to make a profit.
Sure.
My goal is to make a profit. And so I'm just open. I disclose it. You
because
don't have to
what
hide around
happens
that.
though when you say that though, Jerry? See, I think the intimidation from the wholesaler is when they tell somebody they're going to make a profit, they think that the reaction is like, you're going to make a profit on my house
at my expense.
Yeah. Well, but they get it, right? I mean, most of the consumers are like, yeah, we figured that out. You're not here to for charity.
This is what the anti-wholesalers don't understand. The reason why a seller is selling that property at a discount is because of the convenience we're providing them.
Right. And their situation calls for some type of trade. We're going to exchange time and convenience for money. We understand that.
Yeah.
And disclosing that is not a bad thing.
And this idea of stealing equity just is not true. The equity is in the potential of that property. At the price that wholesaler is acquiring that property, that's about the value of that house. There is not really much equity because it's distressed.
For sure.
The equity is when someone comes in and does something with that property.
Yeah,
like
your property in Arizona, when you bought it for $600,000, it was probably worth $600,000. And now you put $1 million into it, and now it's worth
3.2.
Yeah, I love that.
That doesn't just happen overnight. That's a 2-year labor of love to get to where I'm going make my profit.
Yeah.
Understood. That's amazing. Well, Jerry, I'm so excited for your keynote speech today. I'm so happy you're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with Tony and I. I appreciate you joining us on The Hustle Harder and The Hard Truths with Scott Lurie. I'm looking forward to today, and thank you for joining us in studio today. Welcome to Milwaukee.
Welcome. Enjoy the cold.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for being here.